For part two of our retro of the personnel surrounding LeBron James and his career, we want to go over the Cleveland Cavaliers' first tenure. Now, it's important to note this is split into two different general managers or lead executives. We've got the disastrous Jim Paxson era that basically destroys any chance of LeBron winning in Cleveland in the first 14 months. And then a much better Danny Ferry era, but we'll get to him. With that said, let's get into it. The 03-04 Cavs have some decent pieces. Ricky Davis, who's right above me, averaged 20 points in the 03 season. He was coming on as a good scorer. They also have a former number 3 overall pick, Darius Miles, who was just 22. And while he never reaches his full potential, he was still growing and on the way up. Problem is, with both these guys, they're instantly jealous of how much attention LeBron is getting from Cavs front office, from the Cavs' new coach, and they don't want to be there anymore. Paxson ends up trading both of them for 4 kind of middling average role players. The production of the guys he gets is about the same, but you're trading up in age. You're giving up 22, 24-year-old pieces, and you're bringing back like 29-year-old pieces. For comparison, I want you to think if the Pistons gave up Jaden Ivey or the Kings gave up Keegan Murray for Dennis Schroeder and Dorian Finney-Smith. You might be able to say, hey, they're producing about the same right now, but you just know that's going to be a loss. Now that's bad, but what gets worse is Paxson comes up with a good idea to try to keep Boozer cheaply. He's going to let Boozer out of his rookie contract after the 04 season, where the Cavs have some cap space and try to sign him to a $40 million deal. Boozer has a off-the-record verbal commitment to this and then doesn't go along with it when he gets offered a $50+ million deal. So in the first year of LeBron James' Cavs tenure, they have given up 3 of their 5 best players for nothing. Also, Jason Kapono gets snagged in the Charlotte Bobcats expansion draft. Not a big thing, but he's one of the best shooters of the decade. Would have been nice to have him next to LeBron. Paxson also trades away 2 2007 first-round picks. He trades the pick that would become Rudy Fernandez for Yuri Welsh, who is an absolute bust in the Cavs system, and the pick that would become Jared Dudley for Sasha Pavlovicic. That's kind of it's a fine move. Now, Paxson does have some saving graces, and then he's able to turn some of the pieces he traded Ricky Davis for into Eric Snow, who was a former top defensive guard, and a young Drew Gooden and Anderson Varejao. Those moves are nice. I mean, Gooden's going to be the starting power forward for the Cavs, and Varejao like a Cav forever. But Boozer really could have been the second star that LeBron needed, or at least the most attractive trade piece to get a second star for LeBron. In the 05 offseason, Danny Ferry takes over and immediately goes out and signs Larry Hughes and Donyell Marshall, and there's a Cleveland paper that asks, is this the best Cavs roster of all time? No, I'm sorry, Larry Nance Sr., Craig Elo, they really did ask that. Hughes was a huge get. He led the league in steals the prior year. He was all-defensive first team, 6th in DPOY. He only plays 61 games and still gets all-NBA votes. And he's only 27. Donyell Marshall, a bit older, but he's a spacing 4 that should play next to LeBron pretty well. Ferry also makes a smart move to absorb some bad money, 1-year deal, to get a second-round pick that becomes Daniel Gibson. On paper, all of this was great. In reality, Larry Hughes put up popcorn numbers on a bad team, and when he got to a good team, he did not become more efficient. Also, Donyell Marshall, just a little bit older than they thought, not quite as much left in the tank. So here's where disaster strikes, and I can't blame Danny Ferry, and I can't quite blame LeBron either. LeBron signs his short extension, and immediately the league starts talking, hey, is he going somewhere in 2010? Hey, Wade also did it. Is there a team-up planned? This extension really scared the Cavs because they will not trade a pick post-2010, which is smart. I mean, those post-2010 picks became Kyrie, became Andrew Wiggins, became what they needed to rebuild post-LeBron, but also there were a lot of really good players traded during these next couple of years. I mean, I'm talking a wide range of names here. You got Rashard Lewis, Hedo Turkoglu, Vince Carter, Chauncey Billups, Allen Iverson, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Pau Gasol. All of those guys were moved and could have been available. But with Boozer gone, they don't have a second or another young piece to try to offer. And if they're not going to trade post-2010 picks, they just never had enough to really make a good move. And after the success in 2007, the Cavs kind of rest, and they don't make any moves during the 07 offseason, which is kind of a disaster. If you think you're good and you don't make any moves to get better, and everyone else around you gets better, you end up looking worse, and that leads to this move. Cavs trade out everyone good that we've talked about thus far. Donyell Marshall, Larry Hughes, Drew Gooden, to bring in Joe Smith, Wally Szczerbiak, Delonte West, and the big get was Ben Wallace. Ben, 2 years removed from his last Defensive Player of the Year, and definitely on the decline. It was a trade deadline deal, and this team is not able to pull things together enough to salvage the 08 season. But in the 08 offseason, Danny Ferry makes one of his best moves, and he doesn't get enough credit for it. He trades Joe Smith and spare parts for Mo Williams, the only other guy to become an all-star on the Cavs other than LeBron and Zydrunas Ilgauskas during this first tenure. And this team is wildly successful. They are top 5 offense and top 5 defense. And finally, it seems like they've figured it out. The 3-point shooting of Williams and Bobby Gibson is providing spacing. You've got a really good defensive core, or with Ilgauskas, Anderson Varejao, and Ben Wallace all around. They win 66 games, but top out in the playoffs. And I think this is where some of the Mike Brown coaching limitations really shine through. The Cavs had a pretty simple offense. It was give it to LeBron and try to play off of him. So as a last-ditch effort to try to keep LeBron in Cleveland, Ferry makes 2 really good moves. He flips Ben Wallace, who had literally nothing left in the tank, for Shaq, who had a little bit left in the tank, not much, he's 36 years old, but could still be counted on to get you buckets in situations. And during the season, trades Zydrunas Ilgauskas, a Cav for life, a Cav favorite, for Antawn Jamison. Only thing is, Ilgauskas gets waived and then re-signs with the Cavs. This chicanery is now banned in the NBA, but was pretty common back in the mid-2000s. So he added a 20 points per game scorer that season, and one of last year's All-Stars for basically Ben Wallace. It's a solid move, and I don't think Ferry gets enough credit for the roster he built, given the Cavs wouldn't trade any future picks and didn't have any young assets to try to trade. Had he been a bit more willing to go all in, trading some picks, chance they could have gotten Ray Allen, chance they could have gotten Kevin Garnett. I mean, if you want to think back to 2008, yes, there's McHale to trading Garnett to the Celtics, kind of Boston chicanery. But had they had Boozer and some picks, maybe it's KG and LeBron. Overall, I think it's pretty clear to see why the Cavs never win. It's a poor roster construction, but not for a lack of effort.